Okay, so where we left off on the last video, we just made it to the top of this magic carpet. Just remember, you don't necessarily have to use a magic carpet area. Any kind of little hill like this would work, preferably with the least amount of people on it. So today we're going to cover how to ride back and forth across the hill on your heels. It's called a floating leaf, heel side floating leaf. We're also going to try to cover the toe side equivalent of that, so toe side leaf. And then we're going to try and get on the chairlift. So, here we go.
Over our shoulders.
Okay, now we're going to shift onto this foot. So let it come down. And look where you're going. Ride your edge. Just ride the edge. Just ride the edge a little more. That's good. Now shift to the other foot. Right back the other way. Looking where you're going. Nice. Over this way.
Woo! Yeah, go on it.
Slam on your brakes, buddy. Nice. Good job, bud. So all we're doing just there is getting him used to the feeling of being balanced on his heel edge, so he's got his butt back for that, and just being able to kind of scrape his heels to slow down, and then being able to shift his weight from one end of the board to the other to make one end heavier. The heaviest end of the board is going to try to go down the hill. When a lot of people are learning, they end up getting tail heavy just out of fear, and that makes the tail swing around and try and go first. So it's a tool we can use, but we don't want to be shifting your weight based on fear. Next thing we're doing is the toe side equivalent, and you can alternate between these without really getting awesome at each one first. You could just keep practicing both, or you could get quite good at one and then switch to the other. It doesn't really matter, but you kind of do want to get a fair bit of practice on both. So I'm going to spin him around onto his toes, and you're going to stick out your tummy for me, Oren. Stick out your belly, but don't look at your feet, okay? There you go. That's the spot, okay? And all we're going to do is shift your weight onto this leg over here. I'm just shaking his arm to make him know which leg to go onto. Shake onto this one and go down that way a little bit on the toes. Now turn your head the other way. This way. Nice. And belly. Now look out this way.
Little steps off the carpet.
In.
Look at thing we're going to try to do. Showing everyone
So just there, all we're doing is mainly focused on his core being forward to be on the toe edge. We don't want them leaning over, and we don't want them looking at their feet. So telling them to look where you're going, stick out your belly, and then also another thing you can tell them is push your shins into your boots more so that you're leveraging the board onto the edge and just balancing on the toes. Reminder, for both of these exercises, you don't necessarily have to have your board on. Obviously, you see me riding back and forth without my foot strapped in. You could strap in, although then when you come to a stop, you might tip over. Or you could do it without the board on. It does take a bit of practice to be able to ride back and forth with one foot in like this. The reason I do it that way is because I like to be able to just match his slide with my slide rather than having to run at the exact speed that he is sliding at. So on this lap, I'm just going to send him pretty much straight. His job is to just slam on the brakes with his heels, and if all else fails, his job is to sit down. So falling up the hill, not a big deal. Falling down the hill, the worst. So he's going to do a heel edge skid and then maybe sit down because he'll probably run out of balance at that point. So here we go. Ready, bud? There you go. Slow down, bud. Slow down. Stop there, bud.
I'm doing it.
Nice. Good job, bud. Jump up. Very nice. Normally you'd need more of those. He's done a few of them already. So, but do as many of those as you need so that you know your kid can slow themselves down from going straight. That way if they get stuck going straight, instead of just panicking, they can actually turn and stop. This next one is the same plan, but on the toe edge, okay? So I'm actually going to push you over here a little bit, bud. Front knee in to make it turn and stop. So just there, all I'm telling him to do is to make sure he's looking over his shoulder, has his belly right out, and is using his toe edge to skid and slow down and scrape speed with his toe edge. The main reason he needs to look this way is because if he turns his head the other way, the whole board's going to turn with him, and you probably end up going back the other way. So to maintain the direction that we're trying to go in, it helps if they look over their shoulder the whole time. So make sure you do plenty of that. Obviously, I'm trying to keep this video relatively short, so I'm not showing you the number of reps you're probably going to need to put in for this to work. But once they can slow themselves down, preferably with both edges, then depending on the available terrain that you can get to from like a green run, like a little beginner's chairlift hopefully, then it's probably time to take them up. The goal obviously being to get serious mileage, and in a spot like this you're only getting like a short tiny little lap with like 1 or 2 attempts at slowing yourself down. And in just one lap of this chairlift that we're going to ride later, we're going to get dozens of turns and slowdowns. So the sheer repetition is what you're going for, but you got to be safe. So they need to be able to control speed, and then you can take them up the chairlift. Obviously, some of the factors that make that decision easier for you are whether or not you can ride along with your child. And if you can, then you can probably do this a little earlier than most everyone else. Make sure you check back in for the following videos. We're going to be getting into C turns and S turns, and then maybe even different shapes of S turns. Also in the next video, we're going to cover how to get on and off of a chairlift with your child.